What's up? What's up? What's going on?
What's going on, everybody?
Yo, it's your boy Troy,
This is your boy Sean.
and we tapped in.
You tapped in. Hey, a little bit later than normal this week, but hey, it's a lot going on, man. We got other things that we was trying to get squared away, but we want to make sure that we tap in with y'all. Just talk about things that's going on here.
No
locally,
doubt,
man.
no doubt, no doubt. It's always great to tap in, man. Man, just got done enjoying some good hoops, man. Yeah,
Hoops,
I mean,
yeah.
some good high school hoops, man.
It's my favorite time of year, man.
Oh yeah,
It's my favorite time of year. You got high school basketball hoops. Then you got the local like MEAC conference tournaments going on. And then after that you got March Madness, and then playoff basketball right around the corner.
Yeah. Nothing but hoops,
Time
man.
of year. Yeah, nothing but hoops right now, man. So yeah, I'm tuned in. Tapped
Oh
in.
yeah.
Sure.
My bracket shot down already though, so
Oh,
yeah, my bracket shot down
yeah,
already.
it ain't good when your winner get knocked out early, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bust the whole bracket up.
But man, I applaud all these kids, man. They had a great season, you know what I mean? Hey, doing what they love to do, you know.
For sure, man. And you know what I mean? It's crazy, because they want to forget this time.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's not a barbershop you can't go into right now where a joker in there not talking about what somebody did in '86.
Man, there's some statisticians in the barbershop, boy. Man, listen, I don't understand how they information, man. Fellas in there, they can tell you the year, the team they paid for, where they went to college. I'm like, man, how in the
Hey, they
world?
should be sitting next to Larry Nance right now, man.
Pretty much, man.
Yeah. I mean, some jokers, man, they can regurgitate all that information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this person played at this school, had this many points, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm into it, but man, it seems like the years and time flies, so I get it confused.
Right.
Yeah, but it's all good, man. It's great to watch them grow through the ranks. You know what I mean? Start in middle school, high school, and just go up. The ones that craft, man. It's like, yeah, I knew this kid. I followed him. You know,
Right.
it's always dope.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Speaking of following people, man, I've been. I mean, I was hoping Bones would get another opportunity. I mean, he went from the Clippers. They traded him to the Hawks, and then Hawks got him and waived him. So he ain't been with the team for like 2 weeks. And,
Oh man.
And so the T-Wolves just yesterday, Timberwolves just signed into a 2-way deal for the remainder of the year. So he said this is the comeback tour.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Which is crazy, man, because it's just like I don't know exactly what happened, but when he was in Denver, the year they won a championship, he was cooking, man.
Yeah.
He was cooking. But sometimes it's crazy because I thought about it. I was like, sometimes God gotta humble you. You know what I mean? Before he can take you to the next place.
Oh yeah. You realize in this league, you got to put the work in because you come in, you've been a phenomenon.
Right.
But when you get into the league, it's like, okay, now you got to really sit down and settle in and play your role.
That's the thing. It's just like I like I said, I wasn't there. I don't know the story, whatever, but I don't think he was comfortable in the role that he was playing
right
at that time, not realizing how great a role he was actually in. He was sixth man coming off the bench for a national championship team.
Oh yeah,
that's huge. In the league mid-season, and and them go on and finish that thing out without you. You know what I mean? It's got to leave a little sour taste in your mouth.
Oh yeah.
But then with the things that he had to go through, when he got to LA, he was getting a whole bunch of clout. Minutes went up, minutes doubled.
Right.
Then they signed Paul George. Then they signed. Then they had Kawhi Leonard. Then they had James Harden.
Oh yeah.
Then they had Westbrook. You playing behind 2 Hall of Famers now.
Yeah. That's a huge shoes to fill, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's no minutes.
Right.
There's no minutes left. So
yeah.
Glad Bones, man. If you watch this, if you see it, I'm glad you got the opportunity. I think you deserve, man.
No doubt.
Sure.
No doubt. You mentioned Paul George, man. He everywhere, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
you can catch Paul George on the court or on the podcast.
Yeah, podcasting, man. Yo, man. But he just recently, I think you was telling me that, man, that he recently You gotta have to tell me because I don't remember.
Yeah, so like he recently just came out and was like, "Hey, I'm shutting the podcast down for the rest of the year to focus on basketball."
Wow, that podcast is doing numbers,
Podcast
boy.
was popping, man.
Yeah.
Podcast was popping, but you know what I mean. Like at one point in time, before the All-Star break, he had more podcasts this basketball season than actual games he had played in.
Wow.
So you think about it. When you got a team, you got Maxey, you got Embiid, you know what I mean? You got all these other pieces, and y'all trying to make, like, they brought you here to really go up against the Knicks or go up against the Celtics.
Right.
And you only played 17 games out of 50 games.
Yeah.
And you got 18 podcasts.
So you think it's a decision he made, or you think he got it from up top? Like, hey,
I don't even know if it came from up top. I think it probably came from his teammates.
Yeah.
Like,
focus.
Yeah. Like, what's your focus? What you focus on? And I mean, honestly, if I'm the GM or the owner, I'm paying you $40-50 million a year to play basketball. You can podcast when you get done. Right now, I need your ankles and your knees on the floor. And it's crazy because me and my son went to go see a game 3-4 weeks ago, and we go into the arena. He out there warming up. Team come out, great play. He in street clothes.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, yo, what we doing, man?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, they brought you there for a reason, to compete.
That's it. So focus, man. It's crazy because I watch a lot of athletes, man. I mean, even going back, I know it's a different sport, but I'm thinking about Roy Jones, which was my favorite boxer, man. There's nothing wrong with being multi-talented, but when you're dominating in a sport, I think it's almost you have to stay super focused because I watch Roy, man. Seems like once he started rapping and watching videos, you could kind of see the declines because like his attention was split. And
any excuses tonight, Roy?
Yeah, y'all must have forgot.
With Tara got that ring, said any excuses tonight,
good.
Roy?
But yeah, you seen why this because he lost his focus because a focused Roy Jones, man. Nobody wasn't seeing him.
Nah, he wasn't seeing him. But you know what I mean, for that particular scenario, I think Tarver's style, I don't care when they fought, was probably always going to give Roy a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sport of conflicted styles regardless. Yeah, he just had his number.
Yeah.
You always going to meet that.
And I mean, that's part of being a thinker. You got to realize, like, yeah, I don't got to fight you. What I got to prove. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Only person know you ducking that work is
you.
It's you. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm going to fight this person over here. Yeah, you ain't ready yet. You know what I mean? Wait till maybe get an injury or you know what I mean? Get a little bit of age on him and then try. But yeah, I think it was just a tough match for him.
What about Tank got one coming up this week?
Yeah.
Tank got one coming up week. You know anything about the guy he's fighting?
Nothing.
No?
Nothing.
Man, I'm tired of it, man.
You tired of it?
I'm tired. I mean, and I heard he's decent. I heard he's a decent fighter. You know, me personally, I don't know much about him. Why I say I'm tired of the best of the best not fighting each other.
Okay.
Because they talking about possibly retiring after this. But he hasn't seen you ain't exactly. But that's the nature of the sport now. You're not putting the best in with the best no more. Every time they announce a fight, it's like, oh, we bringing in this guy. And of course, they build him up, say, oh, yeah, he's this. But I mean, you got Shakur out there. You got it's a bunch of them, man.
You think you want that work?
Yeah, absolutely. He should, but it's a money pit, man. It's like,
okay.
Yeah, I would love to see him go ahead and all this fight the best of the best. That way you can, definitively say this guy is him.
I think what's getting in the way is that they trying to emulate your favorite boxer.
Oh, Floyd?
Yeah, I think they're trying to go about it strategically and try to get that money bag without Floyd didn't duck work.
Now, Floyd fought world champions.
Yeah. He fought world champions, but he was strategic in how he got to that world champion. He might put one or two people in between that so he could make some money on a couple fights. And I think that they are looking at that, but they don't realize like he was the draw, right? Like it was the things that he had done previous to those fights that made you want to tune in. Like Tank has been spectacular, but his persona, his aura is not.
No, it's not what it is.
Right.
Nah.
So you can't expect to generate them kind of numbers at the box office.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't think that's the case, man. But you know what I mean? Like just pivoting to a whole nother subject, man. We've been talking about outside of the podcast, been talking about like parenting. And so do you think as a father, like, is there a difference to parenting your daughter than your sons?
Huge difference.
Huge
difference, man. And you hear people say double standard, this, that, and the third. Yeah, I mean, just with all the women in my life, wife, mom, daughter, I'm more protective, more overprotective. It seems like it's like the boys, raising boys. It's almost like you want them to have tough skin, so you will allow them to go through a little more bumps and bruises. And see, because as a man, you want to know that I can figure it out. So you want your boys to learn how to figure it out. So that may require you to sit back and watch them fumble a little bit and go through some things. Well, with your baby girl, you want to fix that problem ASAP. It's like you don't want to see her fumbling. You don't, if I can prevent you from going through this or having this experience, this is what I want. So I'm going to try to do everything in my power for you not to have to go through that as a girl father, a girl dad. And with the fellas, man, hey, it's not a smart move, but go ahead. You sit back, watch them figure it out. But it's something satisfying and gratifying to a father to see your son start to figure it out. And the only way they can do that is by you pulling back and not being as hands-on.
Right. I'd say it's different for me because with my daughters, I'm setting an example of what they should expect in a man, in a man. And so that's the way that I talk to them, the things that I expect from them,
right?
Their ability to be able to communicate with me, but also with my son, it's more of I'm trying to make a better version of me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so with that, I'm probably harder on his faults than I am with their faults. Right. Because some of his faults were some of the same faults that I saw that I have seen or seen in me. And it's like, I want you to recognize that. I want you to also work on being better in that area. Right. And not settle for, okay, this is just who I am or what I am. It's like, no, I'm telling you, I see that same, the same thing that you or struggle with or whatever. I saw that same thing when I was your age. And I'm telling you from experience, this is what I would do differently. This is what you should do differently. But like, as far as like making mistakes and stuff, I'll be honest and I'll say I probably let him make more mistakes than I let my daughters make.
Absolutely.
Just because it's just emotionally, now it might not be, it might not be the best thing to do, but emotionally, it's just like to see your daughter struggling with something, Yeah. It's just hard. Like you want to step in, and you want to help. Whereas, because that's what I feel like a husband, a father, a provider is supposed to do, right? Not try to solve the problem,
Right.
but be there to help.
Yeah.
Help think it
Absolutely.
through. And as a parent, the one thing that I find myself talking to myself about with both my sons and my daughters is when they come up against an obstacle and they ask me a question, is not trying to give them an answer,
Right.
but what do you think?
And
Like,
finding out that thought process.
well, or even just your go-to mechanism when you're in a jam and you're trying to solve a problem can't be come to me to ask me what to do.
Don't look outside yourself. Look within yourself.
Look within yourself. Think about it. What do you think you should do? Right. And so that's what I found myself here recently doing more so with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Even down to my baby girl, it's just like, okay, well, what do you think? What do you think you should do? What, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know where it could be something as simple as, Dad, where's my 5-year-old? Dad, where's the remote? Have you looked for it?
Right.
Have you looked for it? Did you have it last? When's the last time you had it? Like, think about it.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Because as they become adults, that's what they're gonna have to do. They're gonna come in. They're gonna encounter situations where they don't know the answer, and if you exercise that muscle enough of, okay, I got to think about this. What is the best thing for me to do? You start to then rely on your own instincts and not what I would do. It's what you would do, because there's going to be certain circumstances that they are going to encounter that I've never encountered before, and they're going to have that muscle exercise enough to be able to come to a decision that they feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And understanding that whether that decision was right or wrong, it was the right decision. You're going to learn either way.
I'm finding that out more and more, especially with all my kids are grown now.
Mm-hmm.
Baby girl, she's still a little more dependent because she's in college and everything. But with my sons, a lot of times, they'll come to me. And the situation, first of all, is done. Whatever the issue may be, it's already done.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come to me and they say, Dad, I got this going on, this, that, and the third, I made it a rule of thumb now not to jump in. I don't try to solve. I don't give my opinion unless you ask. I listen. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Now, if I don't agree, it's your life. It's your life. I'm going to sit back because we all look at stuff through different perspectives. And, like I say, they encountering things I've never encountered before. However, if you ask me my opinion, then I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in. So why did you, I want to know why you thought like this, why you made this decision. And it's hard as a parent not to make that a reflection of yourself all the time. Because you know what you instilled in your kids. The same thing you just said, you instill in that for them to be able to make good decisions and, to go through the process of elimination. But at the end of the day, it's their life, at a certain time. And they have to go through those bumps and bruises, man. Like I said, it's just harder watching your girl child. Mm-hmm. And then knowing that we talked about this before, the emotional aspect of it. Guys, man, they're a little tough. You don't want them falling apart, crying, being, soft every time something happens. But with a girl, you like, wait a minute, man, I gotta step in, because if she's breaking down, she's vulnerable, and that leaves her vulnerable for anybody. Yeah.
So I guess we're kind of on the same page. That there is a difference, and I mean, every child is different too.
What about leniency though? Because I know now, when my boys 15, 14 years old, they come say, hey, Dad, we're going here, we're going to ride with this person, boom, boom, boom. I was a lot more lenient, but I tried to explain to my daughter because she watched it, she was younger, but the difference is it was two of them. They moved in pairs. They kind of hung together. So if something happened, or you in a situation, you got both of them thinking together, they looking out for each other. Well, my baby girl's just like, go ahead, you got your phone with you, and I'm worried more because the boys had each other look out. I mean,
Yeah, and I think that's just a natural thing, you know, with a son and a daughter. You know, you raise your son to be able to protect themselves, and you raise your daughter to be able to protect themselves. But you know, your son having an issue with another man, you feel more comfortable that he's going to be able to come out okay,
Right.
right? As opposed to if your daughter is somewhere and there's an encounter with a man, and you know, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like that is an uncomfortable feeling. The same way with your, you know, I mean, with your wife, you know,
Right.
it's just like, okay, well, I know she can take care of herself, but if she runs across the wrong person at the wrong time, yeah, she can try to defend herself as best as possible,
Mm-hmm.
but it's different than if you were there. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so I think that's just a natural. I think that's just a natural to, as a parent, you know, to understand that
So
there is a difference.
so having those open lines of communication, you know, with your kids, whether your daughter or your sons,
Mm-hmm.
what age would you think is appropriate to kind of start talking about the sexuality thing, or even sex in general? Is there?
I think I think for anybody, any parent that's watching this right now, it's sooner than what you think, right?
Uh-huh.
So whatever time frame you have in your head that you should start having a conversation with your child about sex is probably a year or two before that. And the
Mm.
reason why I say that is because, especially if your child has a, I would say as a parent today, at my age, I would think fourth or fifth grade, before a child got into middle school,
Uh-huh.
you should have had that conversation multiple times
Now, is
with them.
that the conversation about sex
It's
or
about
about sexuality? Because those are two.
um, I think both.
Mm-hmm.
More, I would say more sex
Mm-hmm.
than sexuality. I think that as a parent, if you see something that maybe you should be, I think as a parent, you see things probably before other people do,
Uh-huh.
right? So if there's something that is making you feel like you should have that conversation, I think you should, right? Because
Uh-huh.
you're the first. I would much rather be the person to have that conversation based on my morals and values with my child than somebody else having that, and that be their go-to thought
Right.
process, right?
Uh-huh.
I'd rather be not gonna say the narrative, but I'm gonna tell you based off of how I live my life and what I live my life by, which is just not it's not my standard alone, but it's just what I believe in,
Right.
and that's why I feel this way. And so I think like if you see it, I think you should. I think those are things that you should talk about. But as far as like sex, birds, and the bees, I think um, before you give your child a cell phone, or before they get into middle school.
Oh yeah.
So you know what I mean, fifth grade at the latest, you should have that
And,
conversation.
and hearing stories come out of the second, third grade, just what the kids are saying,
Hmm.
and even down to the point the music, the lyrics and stuff that they're repeating and listening to,
Hmm.
it's almost like it gives you a way in because you're singing a song you don't understand exactly. Hey, son, turn that down. What you just say?
Yeah.
Well, you know those lyrics mean,
Right.
and that's a good way to kind of go in. So it kind of, like I said, makes it easier, but it gives you a way in to be able to have because it's an uncomfortable conversation.
It is.
I know it was challenging for me, man, having to do it, but have that conversation. Then it seemed like a reoccurring thing. You gotta have it a lot, but but the sexuality piece.
So
Uh-huh.
to interject, you had that conversation more with your boys or your daughter?
Man, me and my daughter man talked about it one time. I'm gonna be honest, man, and it's crazy because it's important for them to hear it from a man's perspective,
Uh-huh.
but you always feel like you can delegate that to the wife.
Right.
Now you go ahead and have this
Right.
conversation.
And so, and I asked that question because, so like, if you not, so we have the luxury of being married,
Uh-huh.
and when we can sit in the bed and have a conversation with our wives, like, hey, you know what I mean, probably time had this conversation. You know what I mean? And my wife is a bulldog when it comes to stuff like that. Like she no skirting it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like head on. And so she gonna have that conversation. But I honestly couldn't imagine if I was raising a daughter by myself, right? And like having getting to a place where that conversation is like when I have it with my son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because it is a female, and you know what I mean, it has nothing to do with being delicate. It's just the fact that when you're talking about something like that, you don't want to overexpose,
right?
But you don't want to underexpose.
You don't want right. You want to be prepared,
right?
And understand some things. That's crazy because it's like as they get older. I think I mentioned this before. The conversation you have, it's more normal. Like my daughter come home, TV, you watch something on TV and you see something pop up or stuff, and we have a conversation about it's normal now. It's not, I'm not ducking it. I'm not, it's like she's an adult.
Right.
So I feel more comfortable. And I think my wife did a great job, with kind of setting that expectation. Now with sexuality though, that's a lot to delve into, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I can understand the challenges now because when we was growing up, this side, that side, it was two.
Right.
Now you got a whole, you this fluid, you fluid that. I'm not getting it. I'm not even going to get into that, but I can understand the challenge that it may present. Even having this conversation, because some people say, hey, you can love who you want to love, even if it's a butterfly or
or a car,
right? And it's data to back it up. If they, so it makes it hard as a parent. We know how we was brought up. We know our moral system, like you said, what we believe in. But I think it's harder now. I'm glad I had to do it 15, 20 years ago, because doing it now, and I'm like, wow, man, I know it's hard.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I don't, and see, that's the thing. There's no handbook or no instructions on how and when to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really relationship, between you and your child.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you have to go into it knowing that this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation, but the purpose of it is to get to a place where we can be comfortable in having this type of conversation. Right? Because in that, and that's, once you get to that space, it allows for you to have like real meaningful conversations. And now from a parent, like we talked about it on the last podcast, like as far as men, when's the only time that you feel like you're going to have that unconditional love where it's not based on what you provide or something that you can do, and that came from a parent, right? And so in this instances, when you start talking about sex, I'm not talking to you from a place where I'm trying to harm or get over or do anything. I'm trying to prepare you for any and everything that that I can think of that could potentially be a hindrance to you. Like even conversations about porn.
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge one.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, you may think that this is not doing anything, but it can lead to this. And it goes back to that thing, you putting too much out there, but it's just like, I can't not say that, because even though you might think that you're getting away with it, 5-10 years down the road, if this has been an issue for you, now it's affecting your relationships. It's something, you know what I mean? Now it's creeping into other things in your life. And you know what I mean? If we don't have that conversation now, if I can have a conversation with you now, I feel like that's going to help you avoid certain issues.
Or to plant a seed. It'll plant a seed and something you can go back and reference and say, yeah, my dad did tell me that, or we had this conversation, because you'll start to see the effects of it, man. And even having that expectation, if you click, you quick to click this link, click that link, and then when you finally do find a meaningful, a relationship and you enter in, and the performance ain't the same.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute, something wrong, but it's not wrong with the person. It's
Right.
wrong with you, the appetite you didn't develop
Right.
from something like that. So yeah,
Right.
it's definitely important to talk about. But then you gotta do that with the female, with the girls too.
Yep. For sure. I mean, yeah.
Ah, man. Whew. For a parenting is rough, man.
It is. Well, since we're on the parenting thing, man, it's like, so this is something, this is a pet peeve of mine, right?
Uh-huh.
And so you tell me, how you feel. How do you feel about your kids going into your room, your bathroom when you're not home?
It's a no-go for me. I don't want my kids really. My daughter, she's baby girl, so she live in my room. But really, I don't like the kids in my room at all.
Right.
And I think it was because of the way I was brought up.
Okay.
It's more of an inherited type thing. Like, we couldn't go in our parents' room for whatever reason. I don't know what they had stashed. But it was one of those things, you don't go in their room.
But why do you need to go in your parents' room? Like, so, I mean, for me, it's just like, okay, well, so it's different. Like, if the only bathroom in the house, you had to go through my room to get there, right?
Right.
And you got a bedroom, and they got a bedroom, and what I mean, I have my own, and my son has his bedroom. It's just like, what is in my room or in my bathroom that you got to go into? Unless you're if you're going in there to get, let's just say, soap, which the soap is, when we buy it, it's usually underneath of our sink, right?
Uh-huh.
Or the toothpaste is usually underneath of our sink.
Right.
If you need soap or toothpaste, you go in my bathroom and you get it, and then you go back to your bathroom.
Right.
But you don't go in my bathroom and then brush your teeth and be on your, like, to me, it ain't even about the way that I was raised. It's more about this. Like, we have a house, right? We done work hard to provide a house.
Right.
We done worked hard to provide you guys bedrooms for you to have your space. A bathroom for you to have your own bathroom. Uh-huh. This is my space. This room is my space in this house.
Right.
It's my
your one only space.
Yeah,
that's yours. Right.
Everything else.
I feel you on that.
Everything else is for everybody else. Once you get out of the crib, you got your own room.
That's
you got your own room. Like, you don't need it.
And they'll look at you strange if you went in that room and hung out.
Yeah.
But they won't be in yours.
But want to be in mine. And it's like, oh, well, I mean, toothpaste is on, not toothpaste, but it wasn't no toothpaste on the sink when we left.
Right.
Your toothbrush is still here. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing here?
Why?
And like, this ain't the first time we'd had this conversation. And it's like, well, why do you feel that way? It's like, why not feel that way?
Yeah. Nah, I'm 1,000% with you. And even as they get older, my boys, they love to come spend the weekend. Most time, heads up, hey, Dad, Mom, do you mind if I come over? Rather they want to just come over and relax, wash clothes or whatever. So I don't mind it. I told my wife just last week, I said, I'm going to wait till they have their Netflix and chill night, and they're going to hear at that door, and I'm going to come kick my feet up, and they're going to look at me like I'm crazy, like, Dad, why? Like, you leaving anytime? Like, that's what you do to me. Friday night, I might have something on my mind.
Right.
And all of a sudden,
you crash.
You crash it, man. That's how I felt about the bedroom. Sometimes when the day's over, you rewind, you know what I mean? You go ahead, you comfortable.
Right.
Next thing you know, man, it's nothing in here you need. Why is you knocking on my door? What do you want? And then wife, she'll invite them in. Next thing you know, they land in the bed, watching a movie, and I'm
right. Right. Yeah. No. That's. And then, I ain't even gonna go into the other part, but
I mean,
it's my space. Like, that's all I can boil it down to is like, this is my space. It's my kids, my parents, like there's nobody that needs to be in this room other than me and my wife.
Right, right, right.
There's nothing in here
And,
for
and,
anybody
and
else.
then that's where your whole personal life is stored.
Right.
It's in your room.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
y'all
yeah.
don't. Yeah, go in there and get your eyes burnt out. Then.
Right.
Nah,
Right,
but I'm
right.
just being funny. But for real though, man.
Be like Steve Harvey, like I ain't locking no doors. Like if you got a knock, if you happen to come in here one time and see something,
Hey, it'll break you up, won't it? And it'll break you up.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, man, so like breaking up, I mean, and taking off clothes in the room, man. Like this is a time of year where you might want to do some spring cleaning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so even if even if people not thinking about, putting their house on the market or anything like that, it's certain things that I think like everybody should do around this time of year, just as a maintenance,
Mhm.
just in case, because like the last thing you want to do is, wanting to go sell your house. You haven't really did any maintenance or upkeep on your house
Mhm.
in the last 5 years. And so now those small fixes or bigger fixes, and that list of maybe 10 is now 30, and it
Wow.
becomes overwhelming,
Mhm.
to get all of those things done. And you might miss the opportunity that's for you by not just being prepared and just
And
being
the
diligent.
easiest way to do that is by each season doing the things on that list that will help keep the upkeep of the
Right,
house.
right.
So
Just
what are
like-
some of
just
the
like
things you suggest?
Just like an oil change every 3,000
Right,
miles, right?
that's it.
So like
Mhm.
every spring, I think you should I, I, your landscaping. I think you should spruce up your landscaping. If you got mulch, new mulch. If you have stones, new stones. Make sure like on the walkways that if you have bushes and stuff that are right on your walkway, make sure that's trimmed back so that when people come, they're not brushing up against it.
Right.
I mean, that's something simple. Power washing.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
And sometimes just a regular power wash won't do. So like you might be able to power wash the siding, but depending on where you are, it's like a black. It comes from the shingles, but it gets on the gutters and it's like a stain.
Oh,
And the only way you
and
can
it
get
wash
it
down.
yeah, and the only way you can get it off is like with an acid wash or something. So sometimes, you might power wash the side, but you might have to get a professional to come in there and do the gutters and stuff to get, especially if you got white gutters,
Right.
to get that dark stain off
Okay.
of them.
Mhm.
So that's 3. I would say if you're at a house that you use your garage all the time to come into the house, go in the front door. You know what I mean? Like go to your front door to see if it needs to be painted, if your doorknob or something needs to be
Right,
changed.
because you don't hardly ever
You
see
don't
that.
hardly ever see it. Yeah,
Right.
because you're going in the garage all the time.
Mhm.
So doing that. The other thing is like carpeting. And like all of these things are like really, they're not really expensive things to do.
Mhm.
So like if you're in a house that has carpeting, I think it's a good idea to in the spring, sometimes you have buckling in your carpet. If you catch that soon enough and get a carpet installer to come in there and stretch it out, I mean, you can get that out and it won't leave a crease in your carpet.
Right.
And stuff.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that I think people don't do enough is go through and wipe down your interior doors, especially doors with high traffic. So
Oh yeah.
like pantry
Pantry doors. That's a huge one. Yeah.
bathroom doors, laundry room doors.
Mhm.
Wipe those down, and then I know kids gonna hate me for this, but wipe down the baseboards.
Windows, baseboards, man. That's mandatory.
Windows and baseboards, but man, what really takes it over the top is painting that trim, your baseboard trim and the trim around your doors, right? Because you think about it, when you walking in the house and stuff, the thing that gets scuffed up the most is usually the trim around the doors from a bag hitting it or your shoe hitting it or the baseboard trim.
Right.
So if you go through every year and just go through and touch up those high traffic areas, I mean, it make your house look nice and pristine. And then when you do decide to sell, it's not a matter of that you got to do all of that stuff you're basically just touching up that stuff at that point
Right.
in time.
Absolutely.
Because that's another thing that you do. Oh, and one last thing is change your
filters.
Change your filters and your air conditioners and the batteries and your smoke detectors.
Calm, yeah. That's bad. And I talk on the phone all day long, man. You can just hear them in people's house. In the background. I'm like, man, y'all don't hear that, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because it becomes a background noise at some point.
Yeah, you almost get used to it. It's time, man. Hey, keep time.
Yep.
Yeah, keep time for you. Yeah.
Yeah, no. But I mean, that's pretty much, man. That's all I have for today, man.
Hey, that's good stuff, though, man. It's spring cleaning time, man. All aboard. Now, this is one time welcome everybody back home. Come on back. Oh, I want all the kids. So spring cleaning, man.
Spring cleaning.
Come help us out.
Yeah. Have a list right there by the laundry room.
Oh yeah.
If you washing clothes, I need you wash this door down and this baseboard.
That's it. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
No doubt, man.
That's what's up, man. So, man, that's it for today, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this show, tapping in with us, having fun with us, learning with us. And as always, man, make sure you go find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anywhere online.
Tap in with us any way you can.
Yep. Find us at Tapped In.
Yep. Peace. Let me guess.